Hey everybody, it's Nash here, and today I was not expecting to start drinking the Kool-Aid as much as I'm about to be drinking it right now. Like, I'm really having to stop myself because this defense, the things that we were seeing, the improvement that we were seeing, and no, please, it is not all because of Gary Patterson. I mean, just because Gary Patterson's walking around in the hallways helping prep for game planning, and yes, he does do some sort of coaching. But no, this is not all 100% Gary Patterson. I think a good portion of it has to do with the fact that we finally didn't fire a defensive coordinator and kept some continuity in the building. So, no, I don't think it's all 100% Gary Patterson. Yes, Gary Patterson actually does have some sort. He is having some effect on this, obviously. I mean, you'd be a fool to think not. But it is not 100% him. And then we're also going to be looking at some deeper stats of why these stats are looking the way they are. All right, everybody. Without further ado, if you like the video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, comment down below, share with all your friends, all your Longhorn friends, even your Sooner friends. Let them know what's coming. But let's get right into the video. And we're going to start by looking at overall 2021-2022. Basically, there are a few stats that are almost exactly the same as last year. More on that, and we're going to need to improve on those. But for the most part, everything is not just better, way better. Like, to a tune of 75 ranking spots better around there. So I said I was going to talk about the bad things. Well, third down conversion is exactly the same as it was last year. We do want to get that better. I mean, that just wasn't good, and it's continuing to be not good in terms of overall rankings around the NCAA. Now, opponent fourth down conversion, that's got to get lower. It's got to be lower. You cannot let opponents convert fourth downs at that high of a rate. And then same with the red zone scoring. We got to get that lower. I mean, there's just nothing else to say about that. Now, there's plenty of good. You look at this, points per game. We're almost allowing a whole to the tune of 10 whole points less per game. That's almost good for top 25 in the nation. Opponent yards per game. Again, I mean, now this isn't almost 100 yards, but you're talking 60 less yards a game. That's big. And it's showing in the rankings as well. And then points per play, that is a number that you can kind of almost like toss out because, points per play, how do you do it? It matters. And the fact that we're almost letting up half the points per play, that is a big deal. And then same with opponent yards per play. I mean, yards per play and points per play were in the top 25 in the nation. These are things that you want to see improved with Texas. In specific areas that we've improved. I mean, the rush defense. Good golly. We were averaging 5.2 yards per carry. I mean, even in preseason videos, I was warning myself basically to go, you know what? Last year's rush defense was not the best, so any improvement, we'll take it. I didn't see this. I don't think anybody did. You were telling me just as a casual fan, okay, you know what? Yeah, 114th in the nation last year, but you know what? By golly, we're going to field a top 25 rush defense this year. You either really know what you're talking about, don't know what you're talking about, and are just being a huge Longhorn fan, or three, just got really lucky. And it's not just you look at the opponent rush yards per game, and these other ones, it's about how many times they rush or chose the rushing plays. And the only reason why I wanted to block those out is because, well, yes, they do have an effect on the stats that you're seeing on the screen. that does also have something to do with more with lead and all that stuff and time of possession. So there's a lot of factors that affect those other stats. So that's why I just block those out. But we're letting up 80 less rushing yards a game. Just think about that. 80. I mean, I don't know if I'm making too big of a deal of this, but when you consider the fact that 40 rushing yards on top of 80 would be that's almost 80 rushing yards is almost the entire amount that we're letting up per game now. So we're basically almost letting up twice what we were doing this year. And it is just crazy to think about the improvement, and there's going to be more. There is a good reason why. Look at that 3.3 number and take a mental snapshot of it. And take a mental note of that number, because we're going to be returning to it in a second. But going over to the pass defense. You don't see as much massive improvement in this area as you did in the run defense. And part of the reason why you're seeing more pass yards per game is because it's just you're not able to get anything against our defense in the run game. So you're kind of forced to go more towards the pass game. We need to get more interceptions thrown. I saw a statistic posted the other day from all the PFF pressures. We're one of the teams that pressures QBs the most in the Big 12, yet we have one of the fewest amounts of sacks. We need to get that pressure turned into sacks. But the opponent completion percentage, that's a little misleading. And I like the opponent yards per pass, obviously being a top 25, love it. You want to see that all day. But the opponent completion percentage, I just went back and I was looking at Deshaun Jameson. I just did a short today. Go on my channel, find it. Great. Deshaun Jameson is playing his butt off right now. He's only allowing 40% completion percentage. And it's not just him. When somebody gets targeted, it is more often than not that there is a defender either right on top of them or within 2 yards of them. And that's just not something that you can say with Texas in the years past. So while the number doesn't look like a major or even marginal improvement, I am, in my opinion, in my eyes, from what I'm seeing, going through, looking at this, breaking it down, slow, rewind. Yeah, our guys, they're doing better. Our defensive backs. I mean, you got Steven from Fanatic Perspective says it all the time. Great channel. Love his content. You got Ryan Watts out there in Iron Man matchups. You know? Ryan Watts was one of the biggest gets for Texas in this offseason. And you can't convince me otherwise. But, to go back to the rush defense, okay? I said I was going to talk more in depth about this. All right? I just want to remind you all about that opponent yards per rush 3.3. Top 25 in the nation. And if you also go and look at PFF, they have us as a top 12 run defense team in the nation. Now I will say this has all group of 5 teams excluded. This is among the Power 5. But I want to see where we rank among the big boys, you know? See how we do. Well, here's the reason why the rush defense is doing so good. We're not letting their running back get far down the field. You look at the average depth of tackle. This is a stat that PFF tracks. These are on rush play specifically. The lineman. There's not a starting lineman that has an average depth of tackle over 2.6. Ovia Gofu. That's the worst. So on average, if a lineman is tackling a guy, the guy's gotten 2.6 yards down the field. Most of our tackles obviously are going to be done by the linebackers. Jalen Ford, look at his number, 3.3. I don't think that's any really coincidence that he, A, has the most tackles on the team, and B, the number lines up perfectly with our average rush defense numbers that we're giving. Yards per carry. Now, it is a little bit of a coincidence, but I think it just goes to show, like, our defense is doing very well. Very rarely are you seeing a guy, like, look at Anthony Cook. That's your guy that's playing the furthest back, free safety most often. You have Jaron Thompson kind of playing, he comes down to the box roll every now and then. He plays some free safety. He gets some free safety snaps. And when I say free safety, I'm talking about just pure alignment. He's more than 10 yards down the field. That's how PFF counts it. But rarely does a guy ever get to Anthony Cook. He's only attempted 5 tackles on a run play. And that's a good thing. And if you look at our defensive backs, I mean, Jaron Thompson at 17, him playing a box role, a box safety role, he does come up in the run game more. So, yes, he's going to have the most tackles. But look at Anthony Cook, 5 attempted run tackles. Deshaun Jameson, 4 attempted run tackles. Ryan Watts, 8 attempted run tackles. Jahdae Barron, 7 attempted run tackles. I mean, very rarely are our defensive backs and cornerbacks actually having to go up and make a tackle when you look in the grand scheme of things. This is a positive sign to see with this Texas defense, and it's a major reason why we have this grade that we do. Now also, if you look, the overall defense looking pretty good too. Again, sorted for the top in the Power 5. Top 11 in the Power 5. And then same with the pass rush. It's a top 10. But this is largely, like I said earlier, there's that stat that was put out. We have a ton of hurries, ton of QB pressures. We're getting around the QB, but we just aren't bringing him down. If we can bring him down, not only will this ranking go up, but just give me a second to find it. This one will too. Sack percentage. And that ranking going up is a good thing for our defense because it's going to lead to more interceptions for our defensive backs and more 3-and-outs for the opposing offense. But all right, everybody. Hope you all have a great day. And this is officially OU Hate Week. It's 5 o'clock, and OU still sucks. Hook 'em!